Okay, so we're on the track of how to master that story. Because if you can master the story, you can be in your own dream. You can be in your own emotional state of presence that you want to choose to be in. You can be in gratitude. You can be in love. You can be in compassion. That's the kind of options of being in your own dream. You aren't being in your own dream when you're gossiping. You aren't being in your own dream when you're venting. You're being in the dream of the planet's dream. Okay. And so where's that choice in conversation? It happens in the way that you listen, with the awareness you listen with. It happens in how you speak. Okay. So we'll talk about just two elements of how to talk about how to vent impeccably. Okay. The way I learned it, Miguel taught, shut your mouth. When you notice something toxic coming out of your mouth, shut it. And if something more toxic wants to come out, shut it twice. You know, like do this zipper shot, put a lock on it, lock the key, throw it away. And then he's like, okay, and if you still want to say something, put another lock, zip another lock, and put another lock it with the key, and you throw it away, and you're like, you don't let the poison out. So that's refrain. And it doesn't mean, okay, I'm going to take all this emotion, I'm going to push it down and numb out. It's one way, because you don't, and the purpose for this is, okay, the dream of toxicity, let's call it anger, frustration, annoyance, is alive. You're a host and it's the parasite alive in you, and it wants to get out and it wants to go transmit into another person and spread, you know? It's the virus. How does it passes out with our word? Because if it can get them alive in another mind, it goes, oh, fertile ground. I'm gonna like, it's kind of the parasite ego's version of having sex. You think about like, okay, I have an idea. And the idea is alive, and the idea, what does it need to do? It needs to reproduce, it needs to have sex. And how does it have sex? It like ejects out of a person's mouth and goes into empty space, and it goes into the other person's mind and like fertilizes, and it's alive in there, and it's just reproduced. Sexual reproduction of an idea. Okay, if we want to talk about words and ideas, having sex, I'm having sex with all of you right now, with my ideas. Okay, and that can be kind of cringy, it can be kind of funny, but I'm trying to like give you the visceral how an idea of a gossip, a juicy, an anger, a victim story, that I just got to get this out and share it. And vent, and will you just listen right now? If I look at this third person and I write about it as an observer, I say the idea, this juicy bit of gossip is alive in me, and it wants to reproduce, and it wants to use me as the host, take me over, make me say the story, and sexually transmit that story to you. It's like unprotected sex, right? It's not clean sex, it's dirty sex, it's unprotected. You could get a virus, you could get a very ugly anger, victim, judgmental story by what I say. And now that's alive in your mind. Yeah, okay, more cringy by my venting. But this is what we want to do, this observer. This is, and I talked about this ego force parasite before, wants to have me use my mouth to transmit and reproduce itself in you. This is what's going on with gossip. And this is how the virus of the judge and the victim and fear and anger spread. It uses humans. Now, so this is why my training was, Gary, shut your mouth. Don't say it. Do not spread the poison. Now, what does that mean? That means I have this animal dream alive inside of me that's going crazy for this sexual reproduction experience, and I just got to write it out. I'm like, until it gets over it, right? Don't let it reproduce. Don't spread it. Wear a mask, right? Okay. Put something over it. Let your immune system strengthen to where it evaporates it, burns up the energy, and then you have immunity to it. And it goes, yeah, I know that story. I'm not sharing it. I'm not doing anything with it. I'm not transmitting it to anybody else. Yeah, it gave me a fever for a while. It was uncomfortable. Maybe didn't sleep as much because like grinding in my head. But it eventually, as you're with it, dissipates the energy. Okay. And instead of you being used as its puppet, which is training you to be its puppet, training you to be its subservient host, you're in rebellion of it. And by host, I mean what a parasite takes over the host, making you do what it wants. The idea is dream, gossip is making you do what it wants. This is saying, this is a rebellion saying, no, I'm not your slave. This is you breaking the chains of it directing your voice, your emotions, your speech. Okay. So that is the A way. To break the dream and get control of your story, is not let the story control you. And I can confess that I failed many, many times at this before I got decent at it. Okay. Questions about that approach?